What's up, guys? So we're doing the grading guide. I've messed up a couple times, so Van thinks it's funny. He thinks it's so funny that I messed up because I said, "Yo, welcome to the centering guide," which we will be talking about in a second. But this is the grading guide. So I know you guys have been asking for it. So we're gonna go over how to grade your cards. We're gonna go over what to look for and what determines your grade. I got a bunch of PSA cards here, and I'll give you guys a basic rundown of that. And I'll talk about my questions that I had when I was grading, because it's really hard to know what general grades you're gonna get without sending in cards, but we can talk about it, and I'll try to give you guys all the tools you can to just get the best grades you can. So we're gonna start. Before we start though, like and subscribe. I have no moral objections to asking people to like and subscribe.
Yeah, just do it.
Run it up. Run up those numbers. But anyways, so let's run it up. We'll start with centering. Well, I'll tell you the 4 categories real quick. So we got centering, corners, edges, and surface. And so we'll start with centering and we'll go over that. Centering is really, really important. I think centering carries, honestly.
Yeah.
So like I had one card, it was super, super perfect centered, and it had a scratch on it, but it still got a 10. So that shows you how much centering carries. So if you guys don't know what centering is, basically it's just how centered a card is on the card. How do I even explain that?
It's like how good the card is cut, so then the edges are like evenly distributed.
Yeah, this guy's a big brain right here. So I will show you guys with basketball cards first, because they're really, really obvious, especially with these types of cards. And I'll show you guys with Pokemon cards the general gist of centering real quick. So we have this jaw right here. Also, this also illustrates that your cards don't have to be perfectly centered to get a 10 either. So, because, okay, watch. We'll go to PSA. So to get a 10, your tolerance not to be exceeded is 55-45 to 60-40. So it doesn't have to be 50-50 centered. We have a tool. We'll show you guys in a sec. It is goated. But so look at this jaw. If you look at this Jaw Morant basketball card, we will get Pokemon cards soon. I just want to illustrate this because it's really obvious on these types of cards. If you notice, the gaps are not very blatant. It might be a little bit off top to bottom, but other than that, like if you look to the left and the right, the gaps are pretty much identical. And then here and there, they're just barely slightly off. And that's if you're like tripping hard and like really overanalyzing it. So this is a 10. So take one more look at that. Look at the gaps. And then I'll show you something really off-centered so you can get a different perspective. If we look at this Charmander right over here, do you see this top? And then do you see this bottom? There's a huge gap. Like a really big discrepancy. It's almost like double the size if you really look at it. So this little sliver here compared to this sliver, like the left, like this to that, is crazy. So that's centering for you guys.
Yeah.
So centering carries hard. So basically your goal is just to have it really, really dead centered. And usually it's pretty obvious with Pokemon cards. The one difference with Pokemon cards in the basketball I showed you is normally the left to the right are going to be a little bit thinner than the tops. So you just have to measure different distances. And so we're going to teach you how to check centering right now. And honestly, once you practice it a couple times, it's really easy to just develop an eye for centering. So we'll do this here. So the tool we have right here is called a Grade Master. Oh, I'm showing it right here. So you can pretty much just place it over the card and get your exact centering for the most part. So what are you handing me?
I was looking for the jaw, but I don't know where that went.
The jaw, we'll just do it with a Pokemon card. This Vaporeon is centered pretty well. So this is good centering. We'll show you bad centering first, honestly, just so you guys can see. So we have the Charmander right here. Also, if you guys need this tool, we're going to be posting a link for it, an Amazon link in the description below. So you guys can cop one of these. They're pretty cheap. They're like $10 or something.
Yeah, it also helps out the channel.
Yeah, it helps us out a lot. So run it up. So basically what you guys want to do is watch. I'll go really, really close to this. So I line it up here, the black lines at the top. And then we point it up here. And so once I get that even at the top, that black line with the edge of the card, I see where the edges meet on the yellow and the red. So that's the distance for that. So it's like around, I'd say it's like what, 4.5?
Yeah.
So it's like 4.5. So just keep that in mind. And then we'll go to the bottom right here. And then this one's like 3. So you like just line up the black lines again, and you line it up with the yellow. And then you see right here where this line, it's a 3. So it's 4.5 to 3. So yeah, I'll show you guys one more time. So you line it up, the black lines at the top, and the ones on the inside, well, you see where it meets the edges and stuff. So that's 4.5. If you guys see the 4 right here. So it's really hard to do this, guys. Sorry, I need a better camera setup. So I'll try to get one soon. But so you see that it just lines up 4.5 right there where they split, and so it's 4.5 to 3.
So 4.5 to 3. The tool also comes with this little guide.
Yeah, so it comes with a guide. So 4.5. So 4 to 3 is 57 to 43, which is past this tolerance to get a 10, pretty much.
Yeah.
It might even be past the tolerance to get a 9. It can still get a 9.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's a little bit more off because it's 4.5
yeah.
to 3. So it almost like I would overestimate it. Always overestimate for the worst situation for PSA. So it would actually be 5 to 3. So it's 63-37. So it's definitely not gonna be a 10 because this is 60-40. And then 5 to 3 is yeah, it can be to 65-35, 63-35. So it's 63-37. So it's still within that range, just barely though.
Yeah.
So that centering barely meets the criteria for being a 9. Barely. So that means all the other things have to be really clean on it just for it to be a 9, because this card is so off-centered. So that's the centering for you guys. Did I show you like good centering? Watch, we'll show you good centering really quick. So once again, we'll go through the centering. So I'm gonna line it up here. It's kind of hard, you know what I mean?
Yeah, since it's in the case.
Yeah, but I know this one's centered pretty good. So it's around like 3.5, almost 4. It like barely hits the 4 line. It's kind of hard to tell from this angle, but it hits like the 4 line. And then right here, we'll go here, and it hits, hold on, let's line that up. Yeah, then you line it up, and it's about the same. It's like barely hits the 4 line. So the centering is almost 50-50 because they're like almost right there.
Yeah, and then you can also do it for the sides too.
Yeah, so you do it for the sides and the top to bottom, and that's how you gauge the centering pretty much. And you just use the ratios for the worst ones, and that's like your worst centered. So if it doesn't meet the criteria for a 10 or the 9 or whatever you're trying to meet, then you know. And so that's centering. Do you have anything else to say about centering? Oh, also one last thing to say about centering. Sorry, I just thought about it. Is sometimes your card doesn't have to be perfectly centered to get a 10. If you look at this Zion card, yeah, basketball again, just because it's really easy to see. But this, you see this sliver here versus this here, there's way big of a difference. And even left to right, it's a little bit off if you guys look hard enough. So you see that, like left and then the right, there's a big difference too. So this card actually got a 10 if you look at it. So you don't have to have perfect centering, but I think centering carries really hard. If you have really good centering, it makes up for all your other flaws that are condition based. So
yeah, also centering is like the easiest one to help carry your stuff because you can't change it or anything. It won't get messed up.
Yeah, true. Centering's just there. Centering is permanent. So always check out the centering of a card. Once you guys start using this tool a lot and you just get used to like doing this, honestly, you can judge the centering of a card like just looking at it after a while. It's like a muscle you build over time. And so that's centering. And then what is next? We'll go here. Which one should we run up? Corners?
Corners is easy to explain.
Okay, corners is pretty easy. So we'll use this Charmander again as an example. But so corners for a card are the corners right here. pretty much. You want to make sure they're not dented or dinged or anything. Basically, how they describe corners is they want sharp corners. And so your corners just have to be nice and smooth and like crisp. And if they're like soft, watch, I'll show you a soft cornered card really quick. Where is it? I have that Luca. I just had that Luca. Where is it? I know, I keep using basketball cards.
But basketball cards, like, are the easiest way to illustrate.
Yeah, they're just really obvious with the different types. So this corner right here on this Luca, it's a little bit soft because...
You can see that little white dot.
You can see the white dot, and it's, like, not perfectly sharp. It has a little bit of... This is, like, minor. But it's still gonna dock points from your corners because they're not clean and crisp. So look for that. You see that right there? Compared to like this corner looks really square. It's different with Pokemon cards though, because they're not square. But
basically, like, if they're like smoothened or anything.
Yeah, exactly. So just check the corners. And so, like, these corners are nice, but if a card has been hit in the corners, it'll be really obvious. It will be damaged in some way. It'll be soft. So just keep a lookout for that. Let's see. Yeah. See, the corners look pretty nice. So there is whitening, and we'll talk about that in a second, though. But, so, basically, that's corners. Corners is pretty obvious. And then we'll talk about edges. So basically, edges is going to be the edges on the sides, like along the card. And that's going to include whitening, and that's also going to include like chip damage here on these edges. The camera won't focus on here, but it's like pretty obvious when a card has like dents along the edges or anything. So just do a quick rundown. Usually you don't have to worry about this with Pokemon cards, but you just never know. Just look for like smooth edges. Most Pokemon cards are really smooth. It's really hard to get a card just like to hit something like that, like this. You know what I mean? So just check those out. It will not focus, but check that out, and then check out the whitening, which also accounts for the edges. And so let me show you a really whitened card. So basically you're gonna look for this right here, and that'll dock points. And I'll give you guys examples from my PSA cards in a second. We can just talk about general grading ideas and stuff, but look for these here. That's the whitening. And so you can judge a card. Honestly, I use white. This is a crease. We'll talk about creases later. Honestly, I'll tell you about creases now. Just look out for creases. Because basically, when you're looking at a card, if it has a crease, I'm pretty sure a crease will decrease it to an instant 5. I'm pretty sure it's a 5 or a 6. But
they dock you a lot.
Yeah, so they pretty much from what I've read in PSA, they start out in a 10. They start every card in a 10, and they just dig at the flaws, and they keep docking points until they're done, until they can't find anything else to like dock you points for. So they'll be like, oh, there's a crease, instant. That's an instant 5. Or if they're like, oh, that's a little bit of whitening here, a little bit of whitening here, a little bit of that, we'll make it a 9 now. And so, what?
Well, it was just funny because you said we'll make it a 5, and then you said there's some whitening, we'll make it a 9 now.
That's funny. I was talking like if it was another card.
Oh.
Yeah, but anyways, so that's that. We were just talking about whitening, so just look for all of this right over here. And so, yeah, just double check that. I'll give you guys like grading scales for everything too in a second. I just wanted to give you a quick rundown of everything.
Tell them about surface really quick.
Okay, cool. And then surface is just going to be the surface, like the actual surface of the card. And so how you guys want to check the surface, honestly, let me show you guys a holo card. Where's that Clefable? We'll run it like that. So basically surface is like the whole front of the card and the whole back of the card. And so just really quick too, I forgot to say, but the front of the card is usually more important than the back. Like with the centering too, the centering can be 75-25 on the back, which is crazy for you to still get a 10. And I'm pretty sure the same applies for the back. So on surface, the front is always the most important card, like part of the card. But anyways, so what I always do for surface is I always check with a light. People use like jeweler's loops and stuff, which is fine. I have one too. I prefer the phone light because you can do this like in a store, or you can, when you're looking at any card, you can just pull out the light and it's pretty obvious. So what I do is I just scrutinize the card. You guys can kind of see the scratches right there, right next to where the light is shining. There's like some scratches, like hollow scratches. And hollow scratches are really blatant in a lot of Pokemon cards.
Also, don't forget to check for like scratches on like the normal card too. Like,
yeah, just check in general everywhere because there are a lot of scratches. So it doesn't really translate on the phone. This card is actually pretty clean. So let me find another card. But yeah, let me show you the hollow scratches again one more time. If you look right over there, like right here, I'll point. See, you see that? There's some hollow scratches right there. You just have to keep an eye out. This one's really not the worst, but I can see them way more over in my eyes than on the phone. But you can see them also right here too.
Also, flashlight also helps you detect print lines.
Yeah, look for print lines also. And print lines are just like straight, really obvious lines where it's just the ink is a different pigment, or it's really obvious when you get a print line. Yeah,
it's always like, it's always perfect. Whereas like scratches are imperfect, they're like weird shaped.
Let me find another card that's really scratched up. This one should be.
Should be.
We'll see, honestly. It's really hard to see over the camera, honestly. But yeah, just like look, watch. Here's a bunch. You can see all these scratches right over here when I shine the light on it. And just look. Sometimes you'll see deep indents too. And so, yeah, that's pretty much that. So those are the 4 categories, and we'll run down, I guess, what I do right now to get a 10. I'll give you guys some cards to look at. But, so here's some 8s. We'll go through the 8s. Have some 10s. Basketball cards. But basically, I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward, honestly. If you guys want to get a 10, you just have to have really good centering. I would, if you want to submit for a 10, pretty much make sure your card is centered. Like, centered really, really good. And then just shine the light. Make sure the corners are nice and sharp. And then look for scratches. And this is, I think this is where the hardest part of grading is, like, just figuring out what grades you're going to get in lower grade ranges, like 9s and 8s, and knowing that difference. And you'll know that once you submit some cards. Like, if you submit, like, a 20 thing and you get, like, 6 to 10s, you can learn that scale. But as a... Because I remember when, before I submitted, I was like, I don't know what card is going to get what and what's going to affect everything and how harshly they're going to grade. But at the end of the day, a grader is a person, too, and it's really subjective. Like, some graders might be really harsh on centering. Some may be more harsh on edges and surface. I know they have to follow a standard, at least, but... It just depends, and it's, like, so subjective, too. Like, it just depends day to day, like, how they're feeling. Like, they could be like, yo, I don't like this dude. I'm gonna give him an 8. You know what I mean? So...
Probably not to, like, the craziest extent, but, like, it could make a difference.
If they're having a bad day, they might just be harsh. It just be like that. So... But, yeah, no, 10s are usually perfect. You can get away with, like, a few minor flaws. But I'll give you guys an example of, like... From this card, let me take it out of the case real quick, just so you can know, because I always use whitening to just quick judge cards. But so, here, watch, I need the phone light just to, like, highlight stuff. But so, if you look here, there's just a little bit of whitening, like right where my thumb is. And then there's, like, none there. There's, like, also a little bit of whitening right here. If you guys can see that, hold on. Like, right there. I know it's so hard. I need to, like, figure out, like... Okay, like, right there. That's a good angle. Like, right where my thumb is, there's a little bit of whitening. And so you can get away with a little bit, but you should definitely just not have anything. Because you don't have to have the most perfect card. But... as close to perfect as you can. They have a little bit of leniency, but just be really, really critical if you guys want a 10. So always send in cards with perfect centering, really minute flaws. I really doubt this Vaporeon, if I shined a light on it, it probably just only has that whitening. So that's that. And then it comes down to, I had this question a lot too, when with like 9s and stuff, with like hollow scratches. If it has some hollow scratches, you're gonna get a 9. It just be like that. Like, there's no way it's mint. So you can get away with just a few, like few little scratches that you see. That's from what I've seen. And so I'll show you guys really quick. Hold on, I need to put this away. Can you put this away,
Yeah,
actually?
I got you. I can do it.
Okay, cool. So we'll go through some 9s really quick for you guys, too. So here's some 9s. Got a nice Crowbat, Skyridge, nice Flareon, Hypno. So, what up?
You're trying to put this in a team bag.
Oh, I put that one in a team bag because that's all I have.
Oh,
it's like double team bag. You know what I mean? So put it in this normal one first.
Oh, sorry. That's like
no,
weird.
you're good. Anyways, so we got Crowbat. This card, let's see. It has a little bit. I remember sending this card in. It has a little bit of whitening right here. It has like two. It has this right here in this edge. You see it? And then it has this right there. And then it also has this right there in that bottom corner. So it has that, and I know it has a decent amount of hollow scratches. So not decent. It has like just a couple. It's so hard to highlight the hollow scratches though without showing you guys in person. And it's also like in a case. So that's my difficulty with trying to explain to you guys what you guys would get. If it just barely has some light hollow scratching, it'll still get a 9. It might have a chance for a 10, but this one has whitening and the hollow scratches, so it gets a 9. And then with the Hypno 2, same situation. It also has like a lot of whitening right over here, like in this corner. And so there's that. It does have hollow scratches too. I remember shining a light on it and it had a bunch of faint hollow scratches. They're not too bad though. And so there's that. I know, I wish I could highlight the hollow scratches more.
Yeah.
There's really no way to, honestly. All right, let me try to take this out and we see if I can do it with like the light or something. Because even then, it's really hard to see it. Let's see. No, it just has like the hollow scratches from like, or like the scratches from the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is fine. Anyways. Put this away. So that's that. That gives you 9s. Basically, 9s are pretty clean. They have minute whitening, and then they have some hollow scratches. If you're trying to shoot for a 10, it definitely is easier with a non-hollow card because there's less chance of it having hollow scratches because hollow scratch really easily. But anyways, so then we'll run through the 8s. And then so I got 8s right here. This is why I feel like whitening is really a blatant thing. Because whitening is just telltale of like the general condition of a card. Especially if you're buying it in shops. Like it's really, really obvious. So wait, hold on. This card has like this right here. The whitening actually isn't that bad on this card. But it's like definitely way more. You see that right there? And you see this, and then this one I do oh, this one has a lot of scratches up here too. That's probably why I got an 8. You can't really see it in the case itself, but there's a lot of like these types of scratches. Like it was just obvious someone had them unsleeved and they would just shuffle them or something like that, or like they moved around in something with a lot of dirt in it. I'm not really sure, but I remember this card had a lot of that type of scratch on the back. And had some of this. It had a lot more hollow scratching on the front too. It's really hard to showcase. So if I get a better camera to film this with, I'll try to do it. But let's see if we can. No, I can't really show it. That's a bummer. But
works with like uncased.
Yeah, I'll have to like. I should just go through my PSA submission and show them what grades I think. I'll do that next. Honestly, we'll run through it. We'll figure it out. Oh, because I have to teach you guys how to submit anyway, so that's the next part.
Yeah, you can also teach them how to prep their cards.
Yeah, so I'll teach you guys how to prep and like submit in the next video.
That'll be part 3.
Yep, but yeah, so here's an 8. I remember this one had hollow scratches here on this, and then this one has actually a decent amount of whitening if you look at it, like all up and down the edges. Like this one has a bunch of whitening. So yeah, you guys see that? It's honestly kind of wild. Like, I still am surprised this one got an 8. But Also, what I think too is like for this type of card, it has less hollow space. So I remember thinking like, oh, this hollow is pretty clean, but it's like has less room for it to get scratched up. It also didn't. So I think the whitening. So I think like the scratching and the surface got a really bad grade on the Blastoise, but the Celebi had a really bad like whitening issues. So that's why they both evened out and kind of got the same grade. And then so we got Dark Charizard here. This one also got an 8. And so I'll show you guys the whitening on this one, just to give you guys a perspective. I know this one had a little bit else, like something wrong with it. The hollow was not super bad, I don't think, on this one. I'd have to like remember, but I know it came from the same place as this Blastoise, but it had less of those like surface scratch issues. And so here's that. The whitening isn't too bad on this one compared to the Celebi. There's that. And then that right there. So, I mean, it still has a decent amount of whitening, just not as bad as the Celebi. I do know that it has this weird chip in the corner, if you guys can see that. You see that? So that probably that would have been like marked on the edges, and I'm pretty sure that played a big part. I think if this didn't have that, it would be a 9 in my honest opinion. And then the hollow scratching too, I don't remember the hollow scratching and I can't really check it now, but I don't think it was super bad. So I think this corner really gave it that 8 right there. Let me show you one more time. Bro, just focus. It's like kind of dinged. It's really hard to tell, but it has like a slight ding and like a little bit of peeling right there. So that's the 8. And then for the Lugia, this is the 7. I wish I had another 7 on me, but I just shipped it out. Shout outs to the homie who bought the base set 2 Charizard. You're the GOAT. So I'll open this up. This was actually a childhood card of mine, and so we'll run through it. It has pretty bad whitening, just like the Celebi, if not a little bit better, which is kind of crazy, but it has all this whitening going up and down right here. See that? And then it's good. And then it has like this weird dirt speck right here. It's like, come on, bro. It's like right there. It's like really faint, but if you could see it up close, you'd notice it right away. And then also it has one more thing. In the same corner, it has like this peeling right here. Like you can see the shadow of it, but it definitely has like a chipped corner with peeling on it. It's not too bad, but it's like if you look, it has that. And then I remember the hollow scratches were kind of bad on this too. So that's that. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. This one is definitely worse. This one has just a bunch of like things added up, so I think that's why I got a 7. And so I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
So I hope that helped you guys. It's just like wanted to give you guys like a beginner crash course on like the general process of like looking at cards, so you can have a general idea of what you're looking for and looking at. Damn, why you flexing so hard, bro? But so yeah, that's where I'm at. That's that's the end of the video, honestly. Do you have anything else to say that I missed out on or that I should talk about?
Yeah, you actually forgot to tell them to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Oh, but also, yeah, we'll talk about prepping and like doing all that stuff, because there is things you can do to like set up your cards better. And that's gonna be the next video. I'm gonna prep a card and I'm probably just gonna finish up my PSA submissions
and show you guys what that's like.
Yeah. So yeah, like I'll run through all the cards I'm submitting, and then that'll be it. And then I'll teach you how to like, because you can clean off cards too. There's like specific ways to clean off cards. If you guys need like the general advice right now, just get a microfiber cloth, like one for glasses and stuff, and just wipe it down.
Not that hard though.
Yeah, don't wipe it down that hard, but this is the best tool for cleaning cards, especially if you see weird specks on it. But we'll clean up some cards, and we'll clean up some cards and get them PSA ready to submit in the next video, because I know this one was really long, but I just really wanted to give you guys a perspective on it. And so, because I knew I had a lot of questions of like, what's an 8 and what's a 9 and what's a 10. So to quickly run it down, 10 is pristine, maybe has 1 or 2 flaws, has really good centering. Unless the like other traits make up for its okay centering. And then 9s are pretty much, they have a couple flaws. Usually scratches, hollow scratches are what's going to deduct you to a 9 pretty much for the most part with Pokemon cards. And then 8 is more prominent flaws. I kind of showed you in the video. And then 7 is a bunch of flaws. Like, not a bunch, but like they all stack up. So it's just levels of it all. So I hope that was helpful to you guys. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
And we'll add more later. So we'll see you guys in the next
Video.
episode. Okay, later.
Bye.
Bye.